It's gotta stop. The craziness has to stop. And you know, the one thing I think is harmful about this, and I'll say this to all of you because I think it's important, you all play a role too. When government borrows money like it's been doing, and the trillions of dollars, and just puts it on the credit card, as long as there's no immediate consequence of that, people become kind of numb to it. They don't think a lot of it. You know, things are going okay, the economy's doing okay, I'm doing okay. But unfortunately, when it becomes an issue, it'll be too late because it'll mean something catastrophic has happened. And that's what we're looking at. And I think people need to engage today and understand and get involved on this issue of debt and deficits and spending and just get on our elected officials to stop it all. Because if we don't, we are going to pay a dear, dear price. And it's going to be in some economic collapse down the road when we can't place our debt anymore and interest rates skyrocket. And that applies to farmland and mortgages and car loans and college loans and all that sort of thing. There are real economic consequences ahead of us if we don't start taking seriously the amount of spending and debt that we are racking up as a country.
We got time for one more.
One more question.
Let me just hit this. Right now, and Dusty started on this topic a little bit, but I just want to explain. We call it discretionary spending, but that's basically the money that we actually vote on, that's spent every year. Discretionary funds are for the defense budget and what they call the non-defense discretionary side. It's the operational government, the Department of Ag, and so forth. What's not included in that part is called the mandatory or the entitlement spending. Well, the mandatory spending includes the money that goes back out for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Social Security is something everybody's paid into, not an entitlement, it's a contract. Medicare, you're paying into right now. It's not an entitlement, it's a contract that we've got that says that it's going to help with your health care needs after you turn the age of 65. And then there is Medicaid, which is supposedly to take care of those that can't take care of themselves. The very young, the very old. People that are literally living in poverty. But that part of the budget amounts to about 2/3 of all of the spending every single year, and it is not even voted on, it's automatic. So when you're spending $4.5 trillion a year to begin with, and you're only bringing in tax revenue about $3.5 trillion, you're accumulating an additional debt every single year that's greater than the entire amount that we're spending on the entire defense budget every single year. The only way that we're going to get this under control is, number one, to grow our economy with good policy that doesn't restrict businesses, producers from growing and making more money and making more profits. And second of all, you have to begin the process of actually funding those trust accounts again. And every time we say we want to do something for the trust accounts, everybody says, oh no, they're going to cut my Social Security. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that you've got to talk about making them sustainable, not just for 1 or 2 years into the future. In the next 10 years, you're going to see 2 of those trust accounts in the bankrupt position or reducing the benefits being paid out if we don't start talking about how we're going to fix them. And that's going to take some tough decisions, but I think most Americans understand that. So as part of the discussion that we have to have, if we really want to fix this debt that we've come into, number one, we've got to quit making promises we can't pay for. And second of all, we have to start actually managing the debt that we've got today.
Okay, they are talking about expanding all the programs he just mentioned. Free everything, cradle to grave. That's what this $3.5 trillion program is about. It is nothing short of an approach to governing this country where the government, where people have to depend upon the government for everything. So all the issues that Mike talked about that represent 2/3 of federal spending today are going to get larger, not smaller, because they're going to expand eligibility and make those programs even bigger than they are today.
Okay, one more question. We got time for one more.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming out today, taking the heat. Dusty, I apologize in advance. You have to hear this question twice in 1 week. So you have a larger civil rights issue shaping up in the United States, a division line being drawn between vaccinated and unvaccinated. I would draw your attention to that over half your population, your constituents have chosen to not take the vaccine yet. For those that have voluntarily done it, God bless you for taking the risk. So I'd like to see that line go away, and I think there's another section there that's not being accounted for. That is the unvaccinated but the immune. Typically in epidemiology, you would track that number through serology. We would take antibody tests, and until last August, a lot of states were, and they were reporting them to the CDC. Minnesota, our neighbor next door, they told us that 8.8% of their population last August were seropositive. They had antibodies for IgG. So then from that, they calculate 7 times that number were potentially immune and had recovered, greater than the number of tracked cases, greater than the number recovered. What's that tell us? We have 122,000 tracked and recovered cases in South Dakota. If that number holds here and it's close to 7, what's that tell us about the number of folks who are already immune? Who here has had it? Who here has recovered and had it or has a positive antibody test? Why don't we know that number at the federal level? Why are we allowing these lines to be drawn to create 2 groups to divide us, vaccinated and unvaccinated, when a huge percentage of us are likely already positive and pose no risk to our neighbors, to our friends, to our families, or pose at least the small amount of risk that those who are vaccinated do? Why is that not reported nationally? Why is it not reported on the state dashboard? And what will you gentlemen do to help us resolve that so that people who are making policy, who are trying to manage companies and make decisions, tough decisions, because they don't want to add risk like in Sanford and Sioux Falls, they're mandating all employees be vaccinated. That is their choice. We are a right-to-work state, and I respect that choice. However, they're flying blind without this additional information of their population that has already had it and recovered and has the protection of antibodies, adaptive T-cell response, and their B-cell memory cells able to make more whenever they need it. So how do we go about reconciling this? Erasing this line, starting to unify people. I was thinking about taking my kids, heaven forbid, to New York. I got 3 girls, they want to see a play. I can't go into that city right now because they're going to mandate a vax card. How long can we see that across state lines and to further divide us unnecessarily? There's no scientific reason behind it. Can you please help us resolve this issue?
Now look, this is probably one of the most sensitive issues that we've talked about all day. So let me lay out my personal thoughts on this. Number one, I don't believe in mandatory vaccines at the federal level, okay? But I do believe that we do everything we can to convince everybody else that they should get vaccinated. I'm a believer. And let me share why. This thing right now is morphing, it's changing. And if you had an earlier part of this and you didn't have a vaccine, but you did catch COVID, you can still get the vaccine. It's not going to hurt you to take it. And you can get both. And in fact, at some point in the future, you're going to get asked to take 2 of them, and then 6 to 8, 9 months later, you're going to start getting the opportunity to get boosters. And I'm going to suggest strongly that the evidence says that you should get that booster. My family's gotten it. I've asked all my friends to get it. Not because I'm worried about them giving it to me, but because I'm worried that if they don't get it, with the new Delta variety, which is out there right now, anecdotally, what we're seeing is that some folks that actually had COVID early on, they caught the Delta. And the Delta is nothing that you want to mess with. So how do we fix it? I think number one, it's South Dakota common sense. If there's a possibility that if you get it, you can die. Whereas if you take the vaccines, you may get a reaction from it, but there's a very, 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 very infinitesimal amount of probability that you can actually die from it. So for me, it's a matter of what's the best approach for the vast majority of my friends and neighbors. I'm going to share with you whether it's popular or not. I got the vaccine, my wife's got the vaccine, my kids have got the vaccine, my children, my grandkids that are old enough to get the vaccine have gotten the vaccine. And I'm going to push to get the booster. For individuals that got COVID, and you feel comfortable with it, I'm not trying to tell you you got to get it, but I give you a heads up. If you get the Delta variant, once you get it, you can't at that point expect that the vaccine's going to fix it. You're probably going to spend some time in the hospital with it, and you're going to end up on, is it Remdesivir as the alternative that can get you out of it, but very honestly, the problem, it's not a matter of mandating it, it's simply a matter of what's the best long term for this country to get out of this thing. Thank goodness we started working on this in 2002 in a classified program. This is not a new approach, it's one that's been around, but it's the first time they've seen something like this that has been so devastating that they needed to lay it out and to get everybody working together to get it put out and developed as quickly as possible, using formulas that have been developed over the last 17 years. So please, get the facts, talk to your doctors, get all the information on it, and then make up your own minds. But if you don't get the vaccines and stay up on the boosters, this variant is going to be around and it's going to change again. I don't want to see anybody in here laying in a hospital bed because they just simply thought, maybe not this time, I'll wait a while. Please get the vaccines.
Yeah, and I would just say, I think those antibodies for people who had it, there's a shelf life to those, and particularly when new variants come along, which is why they encourage you to get a flu shot every year. There are new variants, and I think, honestly, one of the best ways to stop these new variants is this vaccine is going to have to get to other places around the world, because most of those variants are coming from somewhere else.
Does anyone here